So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our first committee up, and it's the Awareness Committee.
Hello and good evening, EKA students, families, and friends. My name is Bianca Sendejas.
I'm Taylor Cole.
And I'm Karen Bailey.
And we are the
Awareness Committee.
In the beginning of the year, every committee was supposed to come up with a mission statement that summed up the committee in a few words or a few sentences. For us, it took us about a week to find our perfect mission statement, which is bringing awareness to potential opportunities around EKA in our communities by exploring educational and environmental events.
In the beginning of first semester, we were still getting used to and comfortable with each other. We weren't really used to being in committees and working with these long projects. These are some of our achievements that we accomplished.
One of our first achievements was Tutoring Club. Last year, a senior that graduated, Adrian Miller, started Tutoring Club, and we wanted to continue it this year because it really helps the student body with their grades. So on September 20th, the flyer for Tutoring Club, which can be seen right here, was accepted by and approved by Ms. McIver, Ms. Mendez, and Ms. Parrish. That moved on to September 29th, which let us start our first Tutoring Club. In the first semester, Tutoring Club fell on Wednesdays in Ms. Mendez's pod during lunch, and Fridays after school in Mr. Lujan's pod. And we continued this on through second semester because it benefit the students. So in second semester, we did Tutoring Club Tuesdays and Thursdays during lunch in Ms. Mendez's pod. And we want to give a special thanks to them because Mr. Lujan and Ms. Mendez, because without them, we wouldn't have a place to host Tutoring Club. Here we have some pictures from Tutoring Club during lunch on Wednesday's first semester. We have Franklin over here tutoring a student in just a group photo or a photo of the classroom while it was going on. And then here is after school, we have Jessica, Ethan, and Gavin tutoring our students after school. We want to give a special thanks to these tutors because without them, we wouldn't have Tutoring Club because we need tutors in order to perform Tutoring Club.
For Holiday Bazaar, we partnered up with the Community Service Committee, and with their help and their Helping Hands Club, we were able to make 3 dozen cookie jars, which were then sold at Holiday Bazaar. We sold them out for Holiday Bazaar and outside of school. We ended up splitting the profits amongst our 2 committees equally. For second semester, we flourished a lot as a committee. We grew a lot closer with each other, and we were able to perform even better achievements second semester.
At the end of December, we have been given the opportunity to take lead of the GOB. So once January began, we contacted Mrs. Fletcher to see who scored the highest on the geography test that she had given the students. Once we got the list of the students, we contacted them and emailed them where we were going to practice and when we were going to practice. The following week, after we emailed them, we started to practice. For 2 days, we played Kahoot, and we gave them blank maps. The Kahoots were certified by the National GOB, so whatever was in the Kahoot was similar to the questions that were going to be in the GOB. The blank maps were handed out to see if they knew their states and where they went within a set amount of time. On the 3rd day, we went to the NPR room to have a practice run of the GOB. The students would understand the rules and regulations of the GOB, and so they wouldn't be as nervous when the day actually came. The GOB happened on January 25th, 2019. And here are a couple photos of us and the contestants after the GOB. Congratulations to Joshua McAllister for winning first place in the National GOB and being the first EKA student to make it to state championships.
Our recycling movement started with Ms. Smith in the beginning of first semester. She made a Donors Choose. Which her What she wanted to raise money for was for 4 new recycling bins and 22 lids for those. What she talked about was how she wanted to promote more eco-friendly environments at her school, and she wanted to raise $465. These are the lids that we ended up buying, and that started our journey to advertising for it. We advertised at Trunk or Treat. We set up a booth with Miss Smith's car. We ended up upcycling some water bottles to make it more eco-friendly and give a vibe of what we were trying to play off as. We had flyers for them, and basically it talked about what we were about and our movement and why we needed the money for it, and alongside with a link to our Donors Choose to help donate for that. With the help of all the donations that we received and with the Juniors Pancake Breakfast, we were able to raise the $465 we needed to buy the lids and bins for our recycling movement. And then with that, we had the lids, we had the bins, and with that, it started our journey. With the help of Haley and Oceana, we were able to narrow down what we wanted to reteach secondary about. That way, the bins are going to be used respectfully and correctly, so it wasn't just for a waste of money. So we presented to all of middle school and high school. We basically talked about the do's and don'ts, so what can and cannot be put in the bins, along with giving them scenarios about, say you come back from lunch and you have a bunch of items like a sandwich bag, a chip bag, and a water bottle, what can and cannot go in the recycling bins. The students are very interactive with our scenarios we were giving them, and very engaging in conversations and asking questions about what they can do to benefit the school even more. And then, that led to Ms. Mendez approaching us towards the end of first semester about wanting to do a gardening seminar. We had the greenhouse, those of you that know, Steph Avalos alumni. That was his legacy. He brought the greenhouse to our school. Unfortunately, it hasn't been used in the past year and a half. And Ms. Mendez wanted us to take that upon ourselves and see what we can do with it, which led to us coming up with the gardening seminar. There was 4 of them. We split them amongst ourselves. Ms. Mendez and Ms. Smith were gracious enough to take the first one, and they talked about our carbon footprint. For those of you that don't know, it's about how much carbon dioxide we release and in our daily activities, such as, for example, so how much you drive your car and how much electricity you use. So the kids had a site that they inputted how much information that they knew, and they spit out a number to see how much actual carbon dioxide that they were releasing.
For my seminar, I created a presentation on how to create a nonprofit organization. A nonprofit organization means that the organization won't keep any of the profit that they receive. Once I presented my slides, I got the students into either groups of 2 or they can work by themselves. Once we got the kids situated, we handed them out big sheets of paper, and what they put on the big sheets of paper was the name of the organization and what they wanted the organization to do. Once they finished putting everything on the big sheet of paper, we had the students present in front of the entire class and us.
For the 3rd seminar, we wanted to do something with trees. So Ms. Mendez and Ms. Smith came up with a lesson plan that they taught, and it involved carbon rings and different layers of trees. So she had these pieces of wood that you could see the rings of the different carbon layers, and they used this to examine the layers of trees.
For our 4th and final seminar was my seminar. I wanted the kids to be able to get hands-on with them. I have plants in my room. My family has a garden in their house. We've had a garden for as long as I can remember. So it was just something that I grew to love, and I wanted to be able to express that with the kids. So before we got into all this fun that you can see in the pictures, I gave them a mini presentation about how to take care of the plants, what they needed, and what the parts of the plants are, so that way they're aware of what's going on, and they're not just going into it blindly thinking that, oh, they just need water. No, it's more in depth. So they were able to do, they picked out 3 different plants that they wanted. 2 of them were household plants, so it was easy for them to take care of them. I have a plant in my room, so it's just something for them to have responsibility over. So they enjoyed it a lot. As you can see, there's a lot of them having fun. They liked it so much that they even named their plants, so it was really fun for them.
Now, working on any project, especially a group project to this magnitude that lasts all years, there's going to be things that you have to overcome. There's going to be difficulties and there's going to be hardships. There are hurdles that you need to jump over, and these are some of our hurdles.
Some of the hurdles that we went through with the spelling bee and GOB is that we didn't get in contact with Miss G soon enough. If you guys don't know, she's the principal of elementary and she's a busy woman. We also didn't communicate with the teachers saying that we wanted to do the GOB and spelling bee, and since we didn't communicate with them, they had no time to prepare the elementary students because there's no classes to focus on the spelling bee and GOB. We needed to tell them sooner so that they can prepare them. Since we didn't communicate with the teachers, the spelling bee and GOB unfortunately did not happen for the elementary students.
With the greenhouse, we didn't really get to be active in the greenhouse. We kind of set it aside. Instead of doing that, we focused mainly on our gardening seminar. The greenhouse is going to take a lot of work for us, and we lack the motivation to really put the ball rolling for that. The greenhouse has taken a lot of damage and would need some slight repairs. The weather has really got to it. So we really didn't have enough time to really make lessons plans for it and like what we really wanted to do with it. It was something we needed to start it way earlier. We didn't really do that. So it was just something that we wish we could have taken more advantage of. Hopefully you guys are now inspired to do something with it. Hopefully next year, maybe that gardening seminar continuing.
We've had hurdles with tutoring club since the very beginning. A lot of our tutors are juniors and seniors, and some of them are part of a program called Step Up, where they take CSN classes at night and get college towards their high school and college courses. Without the tutors, we wouldn't have tutoring club, so we needed to make sure we had the tutors. Once we had the tutors, we needed to find a place to host it, because we can't have kids running around the school without adult supervision. So thanks to Mr. Lujan and Ms. Mendez, we found our place to host. Next was attendance. We needed to advertise, and during the first semester, we had a pretty good attendance, but towards second semester, we didn't advertise as much, so our attendance dropped. So that's something that we needed to overcome, and I'm glad to say we did, and we're very happy with how Tutoring Club turned out this year. Another hurdle was the book drive. A lot of you probably don't know that the past 2 weeks there has been a book drive going on. The book drive was to collect books to be donated to Beacon Academy. It's a school here in the Las Vegas Valley for adjudicated, so kids on probation, credit deficient, so kids don't have enough credit to graduate, and IEP special education students. I struggled with this because it kept getting pushed off due to other drives and advisory testing and everything. So we didn't inform secondary as well as we should have. So high school had no clue this was going on, but middle school did. Along with informing them, we also had to put out crates and boxes for them to put the books in, which sadly never happened due to the crazy schedule lately. This was a great learning experience for us because it learned that we truly do need to manage time in order to get stuff done, and it shows us how much it goes into on really planning something to this magnitude. Some committee struggles that we had was communication. We really, in the beginning of semester, we really weren't used to having to involve so many people in what we were doing. So it was just, someone was always out of the loop and it ended up backfiring on us. Luckily, in second semester, we knocked down on that and we did a lot better with that. Along with that, it was missing drive. Being a senior is really hard. There's a lot on your plate. And sometimes it becomes too much, and for us, we really didn't handle it the best we could in first semester. And second semester, we had a couple ups and downs, but we stayed strong till the end. We had some weaknesses. We had some weak days, but we are strong today.
Another struggle that we had was being in a new atmosphere. Being in a new atmosphere was difficult for us since working as a committee was new. It was difficult to stay in contact with each other of what we wanted to do. We either started a new task and we didn't communicate with each other, or we just continued on. A lot of first semester, we were trying to get comfortable with each other, but once second semester hit, we were comfortable with each other and we got a lot accomplished.
Another big thing that we struggled with is attitudes. When you have a group project, you're going to have different personalities, and sometimes they're going to clash. So people are going to get annoyed once the personalities clash because things aren't getting done that are supposed to get done. But like with anything else in life, people are going to lose their interest due to frustration, which then causes an unproductive attitude. And when you have an unproductive attitude, nothing is going to get done, and it just makes the overall experience more difficult. Another thing we struggled with was attendance. There were many days in weeks where one of us wasn't here at some point because people get sick, things happen, it's a part of life. But it goes into communication, because when someone's not here and you don't communicate properly, which we struggled with, then things don't get done and everybody gets confused. And it's something that we learned to work on. In this second semester, I'm glad to say we improved and we really pulled it together.
So the vision that we want next year is to have a spelling bee and GOB for the elementary students, and we want the secondary students to be more involved with tutoring club. A lot of members from the tutoring club has come up to us and stated that being on a one-on-one atmosphere has helped them raise their grade up in the subject they needed help with. We also want all of secondary to be more involved with gardening. So we want the gardening seminar to continue, and we want them to give the greenhouse a purpose. We also want the recycling bins lids incorporated into the lunchroom. We want to give special thanks to Ms. McIver, Ms. Mendez, Ms. Smith, and Mr. Lujan for helping us with our senior project, especially Ms. Smith for helping us with our gardening seminar and everything that has involved with recycling. We also want to thank Mr. Lujan for helping us with our tutoring club, for hosting it. So he took time out of his day to help us host our tutoring club.
We've had ups and downs as individuals and as a committee. It hasn't been easy, but it was worth it. We have been EKA's first awareness committee. Thank you.